Easy pickings.
Well, not quite, because I biffed it. Alright, what do I do?
7,
No!
6,
Ah, what a bummer.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another Carpe Ludos live stream. My name's Keegan Larwin for Carpe Ludos, and today I am joined by a very special guest. His name is Brad Voitin, creator of the Blackout. We could call it a podcast, we can call it an audio drama, the Blackout experience, I like to say. Brad, if you can hear me, welcome to the show.
Hey, Keegan, what's going on?
How's it
Thanks
going,
for having
man?
me.
Yeah, of course. So today we're jumping into a little game called Apex Legends, which I notoriously dislike. I have an Art of Games episode actually coming out about Apex Legends where I'll break down why I don't like it. But for now, we're just gonna suffer together because it's the most Cyberpunk thing I had installed.
Cool. And I see you have the robot as well.
Yeah, always, honestly, I try and be the robot. I think his name's Pathfinder as much as possible. I'm a huge sucker for robots, so here we are. And he's cute, so like, it's great. Cool, so we're here to talk about Blackout, and people who watched this stream before obviously know what Blackout is, but for those who don't, can you just kind of give us a little taste of what even Blackout is? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so Blackout is a cyberpunk universe set in 2055 Chicago. And basically, it's going to be an audio drama like you mentioned. And yeah, and you're going to follow Frank Pulse, which is a detective. And the audio drama is going to be his recording logs. He's going to be archiving himself after the blackout. That obviously happens because the title.
kind of a giveaway there.
Yeah.
And this all takes place, you said it was on a... like we're listening to his point of view, but it's from... like he's recording this after the fact, or...
So I don't want to spoil too many things, but basically what the viewer is going to be listening to is his logs during his cases. Basically, There was a blackout that happened 2 years before our story takes place, and the viewer is going to be listening to all of his cases that he logs. And there are some jumps in time, so there is some type of active listening that the viewer will have to do as well.
Gotcha. Gotta pay attention. Can't just cruise through this one. It's gonna engage your mind.
Right, and you're probably wondering why a streaming channel would have an audio drama, because you want some visuals. So we'll actually have some visuals as well, a waveform going, as well as a date and time. So you can always check what time this audio log was happening, and hopefully that will keep people from being confused.
That's super cool. Now, just let's back up for a quick second here and just talk a little bit about the kind of team, because you're not doing this alone, right? It's a team of creators who are actually doing this with you.
Yeah, it's me and two other guys are really solely producing it, and then we got a range of other people definitely helping out and lending their talents to this. So it's awesome that people are jumping on and helping out. So
yeah, totally. Especially when you're doing, projects like this that, are works of passion. It's sometimes it's hard to get people on board.
I'll shout out Derek Little, is my co-producer. He's also one of my co-workers, and he and I are really the ones who developed it. And I'll explain more of that if you want to know kind of the inspiration and the.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, what was the genesis of this idea? Were you just like sitting around one day and it happened, or?
Yeah, so actually, taking it back to 2017, Derek and I, in the past, wanted to do a noir detective short for our company. Yep, we do kind of these fun videos every year for our company. So it was first just a detective noir kind of short. But also we were listening to, because we're both video editors, so we spend a lot of time just in Premiere listening to music in the background.
I feel that life.
And some of the music selections that Derek and I both listened to a lot was new retro wave stuff, and kind of the Midnight and different artists like that as we edit in the background. So it was always kind of a retro wave, cyberpunky music that we liked a lot and would kind of exchange different tracks and stuff back and forth. So we were like, well, we really like this theme and this feel, so why don't we take this kind of noir detective thing, which we never actually made a short film for the company. We were like, why don't we just take this idea and roll with it and put it into a cyberpunk kind of universe.
Right, totally. So I guess, where did the cyberpunk kind of fusion come from? You know, melding those two ideas obviously seems like it was, it's pretty natural, right. You know, the cyberpunk noir is a thing. But what gave you what inspirations did you draw from to make you think like, oh, this could totally work in like a cyberpunk setting?
That's a good question. So I guess another inspiration for us in 2017 when we were writing this was Blade Runner 2049 was going to come out.
Yes, great one.
And we were all on, me and some of my friends who were working on this, we were all on that hype train, ready for Denis Villeneuve's new Blade Runner, which I had seen the original a couple times, and I wasn't super into it. But then just seeing the trailer, seeing the cinematography, Roger Deakins doing his thing.
Oh yeah, the Deeks.
I was like, yeah, I geeked out. So we were all on the hype train for that. And I guess going from that, Blade Runner is obviously a detective story as well, and takes that noir genre of the kind of hard-boiled detective and expands on it and adds it to a cyberpunk kind of frame and setting. And that's very similar to kind of what we saw then. We were like, oh, well, we should just make this noir thing also into a cyberpunk thing. We could play around with some different themes and ideas in the future rather than in the past, you know.
I just got a kill. I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah, I'm watching you, so I'm like
just freaking out here because like this is way better than I've ever done. All right, so I guess what I was gonna ask there a second ago before I started doing well, how do you get ammo in this game, dog?
I want to like round. Answer when you're not getting killed.
Oh, I have like a shield. Yeah, I think I went right into that firestorm. Whatever. So where did we leave off? What was the last thing you said?
Okay, so I was kind of explaining how our inspirations also were deriving from Blade Runner 2049 and how that's detective solving a case as well.
Totally.
That kind of played in part with our story. And there's also a Blackout, which I don't even think we realized that when we were first thinking of our idea from the Blade Runner one. It's just happened. That's what it links the first Blade Runner movie to the 2049 one.
Oh, I see.
So with ours, it's a world blackout. In Chicago specifically, where the story takes place, it's going to be a rolling blackout. I don't want to give too much away, but most of the people in humanity, society, and in this audio drama, they're all moving back into the cities because this event that happens, this blackout, causes everyone to have to retreat to sources of power, electric power, and just being able to survive, they have to move back into a city setting. And so the cities are so overpopulated, they don't have enough power to give electricity to everyone on the grid. So there's these rolling blackouts within different zones. And so when one zone doesn't have power and is in shadow, a lot of crime, a lot of things happen, and there's people that are nomadic and follow these kind of rolling blackouts. And so you're following our detective, Frank, as he goes into the zones that don't have power and uncovers a lot of secrets that are trying to be...
Yeah, some shady stuff, I imagine, happens in the dark.
Right. And we had a conversation, I think, a couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago, I think, just about the different games and stuff like that. And
yeah, which is a super interesting part of all of it.
Right.
Well done, friends.
Because, like, I mean, it's what would happen. It's realistic, right? And I think that's what I like about it, is that it's...
Here I go.
I think something that, you know, sets Blackout from what, you know, everything I've seen of it, apart from, I don't know, just a generic, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, that was bad.
Come on. Oh, I think you have like a second delay or something.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm still alive here. I think something that sets Blackout apart, because I think a lot of Cyberpunk stuff tends to be kind of samey, but I think what sets Blackout apart is definitely kind of that it feels a lot more grounded. I mean, and it's also, it doesn't take place in like such a futuristic, beyond the modern day setting, you know?
Yeah, so that's a good point, and I kind of talked about that before. You're gonna see, I wrote it where it's not actually, though it takes place in 2055, it's not as nearly advanced. There's no flying cars or anything like that in what you would see in Blade Runner 2049. It's much more closely resembling just the kind of far off future of our current situation, you know, in reality. So you're gonna see a lot of familiar things that you would see now, just we kind of expanded and made some choices of what different directions tech and stuff now, and problems behind the tech now. Kind of, we took some guesses of what might happen.
Totally. So maybe like even a little Black Mirror kind of influence, a little bit of
Yeah, and I was a big fan of Black Mirror. I liked most of their stuff. Sometimes it was a little out there for me, but I got what they were going for. And I'm a huge fan of Twilight Zone, so I felt like Black Mirror is the modern Twilight Zone. I think that's what most people say. But
except for Twilight Zone, which is coming back.
yeah, with Jordan Peele was doing Twilight Zone, which I didn't watch, but I heard it was okay.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was out.
Yeah, I think it did come out, which, or at least the first season, I want to say, and obviously, if you don't remember, people haven't been talking about it.
It's not a great sign.
It might not have been good. But I didn't see it. I think I saw a trailer of what it could be.
Yeah, I just saw him in the classic, God, I forget the guy's name. All right. I actually got a gun this time, which is more than I can usually
I like
say.
the Havoc, but they got rid of the turbocharger.
Did they? I don't know what any of those words mean, so you somehow know way more about this game than I do.
Yeah, anyways.
So I guess another question kind of along those lines is like, how does we just talked about kind of how Blackout sets itself apart, but like Cyberpunk in so many people's minds, I think, is a visual sort of aesthetic, and I know you do also have visuals with the show. Oh wow. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just Oh, this thing has like a little charge up before.
Well, right, but if you have the turbocharger, it doesn't have to charge up. It immediately starts spraying really quickly.
Ooh.
I got rid of that.
That's good to know. Yeah, so essentially my question is just like, how do you seat yourselves in that aesthetic world when you have to rely more really on audio than visuals?
So, great question. I think that goes back to when Derek and I were listening to a lot of retro wave music and stuff like that. Like, we were very much into the audio mixing, and we're both huge Hans Zimmer fanboys. We saw him when he was in Cincinnati a couple of years ago, and we were super into just the soundscape as well of Cyberpunk, because I think plays a huge part into it, you know, that whole enhanced scene, I think, with Deckard and Blade Runner, where the different sound effects and stuff while he's moving in on that photo and stuff like that. I think that is kind of the feel that we're going for with this. So you can be laying in bed, throw some headphones in, and before you go to bed, we'll have these soundscapes, and we're working with a guy. His name is Josh, and he's a really cool dude, and he's going to help us. He's an audio producer, music producer, and he's going to help us create the soundscapes that you'll be able to hear. So yeah, that's a good question. How would you do it? And it's so visual, but I think we're really interested in exploring the soundscape, and we've already started making quite a bit of stuff for it. It's just a matter of mixing it appropriately.
Yeah, totally. So I guess this is kind of a broader question, kind of a more artistic question, but oh sweet, I'm by myself this time. I always do better when I'm alone because people are so aggressive. So what I guess, you know, as an artist, there's a million different reasons why you choose to make something. And obviously you've had this project kind of in your head for a long time. But I guess what a series of factors kind of led you to making this now of all times, you know?
Right. So I think there's a lot of things. One, just me personally, I have been watching more Cyberpunk stuff in terms of post Blade Runner 2049, there's a Ghost in the Shell remake with Scarlett Johansson. There was just, I felt like influx in more Cyberpunk content the last couple years. And then there's also CD Projekt Red is making Cyberpunk 2077, which is I think the biggest hyped video game that's coming out that was delayed until September, but
yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, I digress. But I guess just because there's been so much more content, and I've kind of personally fallen in love with that genre and kind of the different material, and I've been trying to just figure out the origins of Cyberpunk itself. So that's kind of the personal thing. And then as well as just my friends and I wanted to do something unique and different. And I think we all just resoundingly enjoy the Cyberpunk genre and kind of how it's taken a new form now. After all that stuff that I mentioned, like the new Ghost in the Shell, 2049, and those kind of have set up new blueprints for new ideas of what the Cyberpunk genre can be now versus back in the day when it was the retro 80s analog type.
Yeah, totally.
And I think in this too, you'll be following both that, where it's the newer stuff, but he's using these cassette tapes because he doesn't trust this faltering electrical grid that the city of Chicago is running on. So our main character has actually gone back into the analog world just so that he can do his job as accurately as possible. And he also has a little bit of a backstory that sets him up to not exactly like the new tech and the AI systems that are in place in Chicago in the story, pre-Blackout as well as post after the fact. So
yeah, totally. That's awesome. It's a nice little, character touch here that tells you a lot about both the situation and Frank as a character.
Yeah. He follows a lot of tropes of the hard-boiled detective that we've seen in a lot of media and stuff, but he's also got a few quirks to him that make him unique to the environment that we're setting up in the universe and in this story. So
totally, that's awesome. I don't know if you saw me get that kill, but
I love this.
yeah,
it's pretty great.
I'm enjoying this lone wolf match that you got going on
Dude,
here.
honestly, this is like my first what do you call it, battle royale game was PUBG, and I played that game all the time, and I always played solos. I love just like running around by myself and hiding, because I'm very much a reserved player, and when you play online, there's no guarantee that anyone's gonna want to do that. People love to just like run in. So yeah, man, lone wolfing is my it's my bread and butter.
Yeah, I thought they were going to release a different game mode with the new season, but I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, this map is it's pretty at times though. I gotta say, they did a great. Oh, that's cool. They did a great job on the skies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Wow, I might actually do like okay on this match. So anyway, back to Blackout. Basically, I think what a lot of people want to know is what, I guess what can you expect from this? Like, obviously you said it's an audio drama and it's got some visuals, but like, what's the experience? You said this is something that maybe you're going to bed to relax, or like, is this more of like a Serial? I don't know if you've heard of that podcast, but like something where you want people on the edge of their seats. What's the vibe?
Right. Yeah, and every episode, for the most part, ends with some cliffhanger, but I don't want to spoil anything right now. But I think viewers will be able to really latch on to the sound mixing, and that's really what we're kind of putting all of our focus, not all of it, but a lot of our focus into the soundscape and the music score. There'll be interludes with just music playing, so people can just listen to kind of some rain falling. It's not so much ASMR or whatever that's called, or that kind of thing to relax to, but it's
vibes for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely got some rain constantly in the city going.
Oh, yeah.
From these electrical storms that are happening, and the ambient sounds of a city that you can just kind of relax to. But there's also murder and twists and turns. So that was one thing that we've been talking about a lot, is how when something gets intense, we don't want to just throw gunshots out while you're trying to relax, or if you're in your car listening to this on your way to work or something like that. So we're gonna kind of add some cues so you'll know that's coming and that's happening.
No, that's a good idea.
So
Cool. And you mentioned music briefly, but what's the soundscape looking like from that?
So, well, you'll know when we finally release the trailer, because that song is like a suite of a whole bunch of different elements, but it's a lot of synth, a lot of keyboard stuff. We also have different tracks or different kind of scores for different gangs, as well as different characters, much like you would score a movie or TV or something like that. So there will be hints of what's going on if you kind of listen carefully at the mix. But it's very much kind of how we started from. It's retro wave stuff, but it's also futuristic music as well.
Right, doesn't necessarily stick to that 80s aesthetic too much.
No, not too much. Kind of the notes that we bounced back and forth was it's kind of the 80s new, like cop stuff, but it's also got a Hans Zimmer Blade Runner score, which I was a huge fan of that Blade Runner score. In the theater that I saw it in, the subwoofers like blew out and they were crackling when Hans does that spinner sound. It's just, I watched it. It's some type of Australian instrument that you spin and it gets these cycling whooshes going. And we're sitting in the theater and it just pops the speakers above us. And the rest of the movie is just kind of crackling faintly.
That's amazing.
So yeah, Hans blew out the speakers in our theater, but it's definitely a influence of that and that kind of track. But there's also kind of these cop detective tones to it as well.
And all this is original music, right? You're not sourcing this?
No, and it's our buddy Josh. Like, thank God he was interested and happy to help us with this project. He has his own studio that we've gone into to check out, and he has a whole bunch of keyboards, a whole bunch of different bells and whistles and sound effects that he's making music from scratch, basically, without samples and stuff like that. And he's really good. So
that's amazing. Any prospect of releasing a standalone soundtrack at some point?
I mean, yeah, that would be awesome. Probably afterwards, just getting all of his tracks together in something that we could release.
Honestly, I'd be down for like a 3-hour long, just like mood setter, basically, you know?
Right. And that's what I would listen to on YouTube, is just like 3-hour long Blade Runner music in the background with rain and the music from the movies stitched together in a certain way. So that's awesome. Definitely is what I listen to while I'm writing it as well. So
yeah, I believe it. I would too.
I thought you were about to get up on that crane with the
I thought I was going to be able to, but I overshot it. Yeah, dude, no, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, having, your own original music, really, especially with such a tone-heavy piece, I mean, it's crucial, and it's amazing that you guys are able to pull that off.
Round 3, beginning ring.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about the future a little bit. So basically, I mean, where are you guys at in the production process right now? You're still recording episodes? You got your cast together, obviously.
Yeah, so we're actually recording with the main characters, but we still do need a handful of secondary people to chime in. So probably open that floor up very soon here.
So if anyone here's listening interested in appearing on Blackout,
You don't need voiceover experience. And we'll even probably send a mic in the mail or something like that. We'll work something out just to get unique voices and stuff in the world.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, we've been recording. The main character is going to be voiced by Mike Santora, who's a coworker of mine. So we'll basically go after work and record different lines and some temp stuff as well. So we finally started recording what's actually going to be in it, and we've done a lot of the planning of the soundscapes and the music. So this upcoming weeks into March, we're going to be fine tuning and getting the episodes ready. Oh, easy pickings.
Well, not quite, because I biffed it. All right, what do I do? No! Ah, what a bummer. I thought I had that.
Yeah, there's always another one.
There's always a bigger fish, in the words of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, as far as, I mean, I guess it's good that I died, because we're kind of reaching the end of this live stream here. So basically, let's just talk about our release schedule a little bit. We have, if you've been watching these live streams, you obviously know that there is a trailer that I'm actually working on, which I'm very excited about, which is why I know a little bit more about this show than the layman does, or laywoman. And that's coming out pretty soon. I think we can say it's coming out about March 2nd. Very likely March 2nd. And then the official trailer from Brad and his team. Do you guys have like a collective, like what's your studio name?
So we're under the studio name Hamana Films. We do have a website, but it's currently not active yet.
All right, so don't go to the website.
I mean, you can look, but it's just, I think, a homepage right now.
Oh, gotcha.
We have the rest of the tabs hidden for right now. This is technically kind of our first big thing that we're working on. We've
debut production.
done a couple shorts and stuff in the past, but under this production name this is kind of the first thing. So
that's so dope. All right, well, so check out that website for now. Also, who should people follow if they're interested in working on this?
You can follow me on Instagram. I also have a Twitch and a Discord. I'm looking up the names of all those, so those are accurate.
Currently typing as he says that.
Yeah. I can comment to my contact info. I probably should have had that prepared before getting on here. Or you can contact Keegan too.
Yeah, you can always reach out.
And he can direct you to me, and I'd be more than happy to talk. So.
For sure. I'm at Keegan Larwin on every platform you could think of. And if you are super savvy, you can actually join the Carpe Ludos Discord. It is public and open. If you go to carpeludos.com, there's a big link there. Brad's actually on that Discord, so you can send him a little ad right there through our Discord, and that would be super dope. Right now, we have all of our producers gearing up to make a bunch of different shows. Blackout is not the only one. So hopefully you'll be hearing from more of those producers soon, but everyone's there on the Discord, whether it's quiet or not. You can always reach us there. Cool. So yeah, hopefully your official trailer will be coming out in March sometime, and we're looking at an April-ish release window for Blackout officially?
Yeah, I want to say April. We're hoping, as long as production's going smoothly, to be ready to go in April, if not sometime around that. So
great. Well, that's super cool. Honestly, Brad, I'm glad I didn't suck as much as I thought I would at Apex Legends.
You did pretty well.
I know. I'm pretty surprised.
With a lone wolf one-man match, that was interesting.
I know, man. I mean, that's the name of the game, like I said. So hopefully we're going to be doing some Fortnite streaming a little bit later whenever the new season drops, if they don't infinitely keep delaying it. So you'll see some Honestly, Abu, Anna, and our friend Will have gotten really, really good at Fortnite, like really good. So maybe we'll go pro. We'll quit our jobs.
That's where the money's at.
Honestly, though. All right, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Blackout coming soon. Hopefully April, definitely later this spring. We're so excited. Thanks so much for coming on, Brad. It was great having you.
Yeah, thank you.
And
good talking.
we'll definitely have you on the stream again sometime. And for everyone watching, listening, I don't know if anyone's watching, but for those who watch later in the future, thank you so much for listening in. That's all I got for now. Thanks for listening to this Carpe Ludos live stream. We'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks.